On this episode of StreamBlast, Netflix's Nimona, Futurama is back, and it's absolutely baking in the studio with the summer heat.
I'm joined this week, as always, with Mark.
Canine Biscuits.
Yes, indeed. Find him on YouTube, and of course...
Do we ever use our online aliases, or like you just like sometimes you just start with calling me Canine Biscuits, sometimes you start calling me Mark.
I bounce
for Mark and Bryan have a cow. We just we just use our names.
Yeah. So, by the way, I was like thinking of like a funny advert. I'll talk to you about it later, but there's so many ideas with that thing. And of course, me, Bryan at Democracy here. Find me on YouTube, and of course here on ScreenBlast. We're joined, of course, with a third member, a member that we haven't had for a very long time, and he's not on camera, but it's good to have him. Martin, a man of many words, a man of many things to say, but nowhere to say them. But it's good to have you back.
You're never going to let that go until I get one, are you?
Until you get one. It's going to be the only place that you have is the StreamBlast podcast or wherever you are here in the StreamBlast room. How you doing, man?
I'm alright. Feel like I'm in an oven.
Hey, it's all good. It's just hot all over the place.
I hope the camera's not picking up like how shiny we are.
I think it's going to pick me up. I'm zooming in. Look at this. Hey, guys. You see this right here? You see this?
I was looking under your fucking neck.
That's belief. Right there. That's belief in this plan. That's not sweat. That's belief. Anyway, beyond belief, let's get into some of this news here. Mark, I didn't ask you. How you doing?
All right. I lost the fucking tablet. I think my roommates borrowed it. It's not in here. They're at work, so they can't really respond to my message right now. So I won't find out until late tonight. So everything's just great. I came back from work. I'm looking for a tablet. I'm all sweaty as balls because I'm looking for the tablet. And then the camera wire fucked up. This show is going great. We are not doing more than one show today, by the way.
Mark clearly has a cow, and it's not even the Cowcast. Yeah, so right now...
I'm not in the mood to be a Saturday Night Live host, so there's no Cowcast today. Fuck that.
No, not at all. He throws shit.
But I will bitch and moan about the Marvel Universe. I am ready for that shit.
Don't worry, but we're doing that later, because I knew that the momentum would be sort of focused on that. So we're going to focus on this episode here first, and we'll talk about Secret Invasion later. Of course, guys, you can find the StreamBlast podcast here on the ScreenBlast YouTube feed or any podcast service feed with ScreenBlast overall. Just go to ScreenBlast on YouTube or on your local podcast service. Give us a thumbs up, subscribe, or just comment. By the way, if you have any thoughts, make sure to email us at screenblastpodcast@gmail.com. All right, let's get into the news. So, snap! I forgot. What is something that I got to toss this in here? Do you have anything that you've been streaming lately, watching lately? Funny enough, I recently was watching Full Metal Alchemist, the Conqueror of Shambhala. I never finished the original one, so it was kind of cool to go back and check it out for the first time ever, because if you don't finish and watch Conqueror, it really ends at an awkward point. Like, you're left with, well, he's over there, and Hal is over here, and he's back, but they're not together, and you're kind of in a place of incompletion. So it's a solid way to close out. I love the sci-fi elements. I love the historical way that they go in that story, and it does a fine job. I don't like the fact of what they do with Winry at the end there. I think it's very weird of a choice. So I definitely prefer Brotherhood's ending to what we get in Conqueror of Shambhala. But I will say, great fucking name. Great fucking name. Yeah, what about you, Martin? Anything that you've been streaming lately outside of Secret Invasion, which we'll be talking about later?
The only thing I've been watching is The Dragon Prince. I literally just finished the season, and it's another season of just another tease season. This is the second tease season we had where it just keep going. Like, they're in the arc where they're supposed to be meeting this villain, and it's just constantly tiptoeing around the subject of letting him out of the...
Is it getting to like Naruto levels of like? No,
not that. It's not anime deep.
Not depth. I'm saying like where they're avoiding getting to the main point. Filler.
No. It's not literally that bad. Okay. It's not filler. It's still story going on. It's just like because there's only there's only 8 episodes long.
Right.
So it's been it does feel like it's going slower. I enjoy what I'm watching, but the honest truth, I really just to get to the point because right now they have two different plots. They just finished one plot. So they got two different plots
to wrap up.
Yeah, and before they get to the main plot, back to the main plot.
Yeah, and Mark, what about you? What have you been streaming lately?
I guess the same stuff I mentioned on the episode of the Cowcast, which is Wake Up Carlos and the show we're going to talk about today.
I was about to say, you almost had a Joe Biden moment there. You're sitting there frozen.
No, I was going to say Secret Invasion, but I was like, we're going to talk about the...
Well, we will talk about it, so we'll keep it...
So, like, other than that, that's really it.
Promise me you won't freak out.
How can I promise if I don't know what's going to happen?
Well, I guess you'll just have to trust me.
Why would I trust you?
Because if you don't, you're gonna die in this closet.
Die?
So promise.
I promise.
Promise?
On my life.
Then say it again.
I promise.
Oh, wow. Even when you see the horn?
Horn? What do you mean, like a trumpet?
Just promise!
I promise, I will not freak. Oh.
This is the part where you run.
Anyway, guys, Nimona. We're talking about Nimona, the big summer Netflix family animated movie dropped not too long ago. That was debuted in June, of course, and we're just going to run through it, give it a nice review, tie it in a bow, and move on. Just to remind you guys, I am joined with the man, the myth, the legend, K9 Biscuits, and of course, myself, Bryan at Democracy. And like I said, Nimona. Now, just to give you guys a rundown, this came out in June. It was
Hey, I'm Chopped Liver.
It was
Yes, you are.
And you are Chopped Liver, the man with so much to say with no place to say it. Of course, this is produced by Annapurna Pictures. Now, the interesting thing about this history is this was a revived project from Blue Sky. Blue Sky, of course, was the studio that 20th Century Fox oversaw back in the day with Ice Age and other projects like that. But once Disney got them, they said, get out of here. They dropped the project, and again, Annapurna revived them. This was a sci-fi fantasy adventure comedy film, and it's based on the 2015 graphic novel of the same name. Now, Nick Bruno and Troy Quayne directed this movie, and if you're curious if this tag team did anything else, Spies in Disguise, which I kind of have a similar issue with in terms of the problems of this movie. But the stars Chloe Grace Moretz as Nimona. She previously played Hit Girl in Kick-Ass, and Riz Ahmed as Ballastar Bold Heart, who previously was the pilot in Rogue One. Let's talk about this movie, guys. First off, when I learned that this was directed by the same team as Spies in Disguise, I immediately thought, now I kind of see why I have the issues that I have with it. Very similar to the team that produced Raya and the Last Dragon producing Strange World, and both of those films being kind of not the best back-to-back. Same thing here. Spies in Disguise had a lot of issues. This is better by a mile, but it still, to me, has flaws that make it from being this sort of this really, really what it could be at its finest. I think that this is a fun movie, but it's definitely middling at best. But what did you guys think? We'll start with Martin, the man of many things to say. What did you think of this movie? You came out positive. You actually recommended it. So
yeah, I actually really liked the movie. I like the animation. I love Nimona, especially her expressions throughout the movie. Whenever she was on whenever she was on the screen, she stole the show. It's just plain fun whenever she was there.
Right.
The other main character, he was also fun, especially when he was with Nimona. Like when he was by himself or with somebody else, it wasn't as interesting. I say the relationships with other people wasn't really in depth like it should have been. But for the most part, I did have a lot of fun watching it.
Good. Mark, K9.
Biscuits! But I kind of agree with everything Martin said.
Okay.
Like this, I actually, like, looking back, I really did enjoy it. I enjoyed this movie a lot. And I thought it wasn't when we were talking about it, like I said, it was fine. but like thinking about it more, like okay, no, it's better than I remember. I love the setting. I like that it's like what is it?
Again,
Medieval
it's a
sci-fi.
That's really cool.
Sci-fi
Yes.
I wish they would explore that more, but that's really cool.
Yeah.
But the movie wasn't really about like I didn't really mind that they didn't explore too much because it wasn't really about the setting and it wasn't really about the characters outside of like the core, I guess, four, which is like the antagonist, the love interest, and the main character Nimona.
Yes.
Yeah, so like it like when it hardly focuses on like what's the main character's name? I keep forgetting.
Nimona?
No,
Or
not
Balasar?
Nimona. Well, yeah.
Come on, Balastar Boldheart?
That's his name?
That's his
Yeah.
name.
That's not a memorable name.
It's a legendary name. That's a book name. Written by Balastar Boldheart.
That's not a memorable name, fuck, from the book either. But like Balastar's like Boldheart, they fast track through his backstory.
Yes. That's one of the biggest issues.
Yeah, but like it's more like when him and Nimona are on screen, they still like they are the show. But like it's a fun interaction between those two, and like and Nimona is just like a fun, bouncy, cartoony character, and like the animation of the action and the shape shifting is very well done and very fluid.
Yes.
I do like every time there's like action or shape shifting. It's very frantic and just like very fast paced.
You know, I if there's one thing you can say A+ for, it's the fact that the action is absolutely awesome in this movie, and I absolutely appreciate that. The one thing that Nimona will do is lead a lot of kids to say metal in the future. Like, I mean,
people were doing that before Nimona.
Yes, I know they did that before, but of course, like this is very much going to be a renaissance of that if kids pick it up. But I think she's just like you said, she's a fun character, and in fact that's my biggest issue with the movie is everything outside of her character to me is either underdeveloped or just not necessary. I think that she is the core obviously to this movie, and her energy is what makes this movie special. Without it, it is not good in anything it does. Like in its fantasy, and its in its fantasy setting with the in a sci-fi fantasy setting, it just does not maximize it, and so you're left with this constant idea. It's like, oh, this is great, this is a cool idea, but it's not until we get to Nimona, and of course, like again, I don't want to just go into the negatives because again, I do think Chloe Grace Moretz does a great job of hiding her voice. I think that she doesn't necessarily sound like her. It sounds like a different character, person entirely, which is what you do in voice acting. But again, some people you absolutely immediately hear. You know, like Ray Romano, you hear in Ice Age. Like, you know it's Ray Romano. So I think that they did a really good job here of having her voice act in a way that it's not her. I think that, again, like, you have these threads, and I just wish that they were given time, and I wish that they were maximized, because there's 3 different introductions in this movie, and I just wish that if you're going to do the focus on this guy is an outsider and he's going to get in, like, it just, once I learned that this was the same team as Spies in Disguise, you kind of have this similar issue of it wants to tell the action hero, that's Will Smith, but it also wants to tell the nerd story. And it's like, but neither of them get a lot of time to get developed, like and then you get to the bird and you lose this, you lose the whole track.
The premise is just a very interesting. It teases you with a more interesting idea of Will Smith doing all this spy action, and now all
animated spy action.
Yeah, and it's so well animated. It's actually that opening sequence is fun. And then they hit you with he turns into a bird, and it's just Looney Tune antics.
Well, no. What I'm saying is if you remember, I don't know if you remember Spies in Disguise, but in the very beginning we start with I think the kid first, actually, and I think that's what starts the movie. And I think we start with the nerd, right? Or do we start with the spy? Either way,
we start with the first action we see is this Will Smith being a spy.
Right. All I'm saying is, both of those characters could have been defined more if the other character was not in that movie. because I think both of these guys want to tell their own story, and because they're both working on the same movie, it's like you guys are a duo, but you guys don't seem to have a cohesive plan. Because with this movie, again, I love when she's on screen, and I wish I got more of her backstory, and I wish that her backstory was maximized more. Or you maximize what is it, Ballastar. Again, like I think like the clumsy nature of it is cool. Like he's clumsy and he's trying to figure out why. Like he's like I don't need you, and then it's like I do. You're gonna be this, and you know whatever. But what did you guys love about this movie? I'm getting a little into.
I just mentioned it.
Yeah, I did too. But I have to say that I did dive into the comic books a bit after I seen the movie.
Yeah.
And I didn't read all the way through, but from what I was seeing, the movie did give us more than what the comic books gave us.
Well, that's very much like the bad guys in DreamWorks, where it's like that. Even that was
like I know just like you explained that like there's not much story to them, but in the story, in the comic book, from what I was seeing, the guy was evil from the start, from the beginning. He was the bad guy.
He was supposed to be the bad guy.
No. He was a bad guy. He was not a good guy. He was
right.
not
Like he was supposed to be the bad guy from the very beginning.
Yeah, he was supposed to be evil. He was evil in the comic books, from what I was reading. He wasn't the queen. None of that. From what I was reading.
Yeah, I think
he was just a bad guy, and she joined them as a super villain team. And from what I was saying, from what I got up to a part in the movie where she got shot with the arrow.
Yeah.
And he was taking care of her, and she was saying like, it doesn't really hurt that bad. But yeah, there was no relationship between from what I seen between the
queen,
Boldheart and the other knight.
I see. Yeah, that's the other thing about this. And again, like, so the reason Disney this was literally reported on. Disney literally discontinued this project because they wanted to aim this with LGBTQIA inferences, right? And I think I don't mind it, but the way they do it here, they shove it in your face in a way that is not like well executed.
I disagree.
I think like you just started out and it's like, well, I love you. It's like
I disagree. Okay. I actually liked the gay relationship in this because I felt like it didn't get shoved in your face. I like it was
in the very beginning
like the beginning of the movie they were trying to show you that but from that point on it wasn't as abrupt. Like there are a lot of shows I watch where they'll just keep reminding you over and over again, hey, don't forget this guy is gay.
Yes.
Like and that's when I was like, when they're trying to shove it down my throat at that point, I do get disinterested really quickly. But this shoved in your face and then it moved on. Like,
I just think that, and not to cut you off, Mark, I just think that it still was being shoved in your face because it still wasn't really developed. If you're gonna not shove it in my face, have it develop. Like when you're doing the backstory, let's see it grow. And like again, this is why if you're gonna focus on a character, either focus on the knight and this other knight and then build into it. But you have 3 introductions in this movie, and by the third one, and then you're just jumped in, and it's shoved in your face. And then every time you cut back to this knight, I'm not interested. I don't care. And like they keep pressing this point of like you should care about the fact that this knight is conflicted. You should care about the fact that there's this guy that used to love this guy. It's like I kind of just want to be in the place of Nimona right now. I just want to deal with that. I don't care.
It's sort of like the character's sort of there as kind of like in a weird way a device for like to give like the main character stakes because he doesn't really have a family or anything.
Right.
But he wants to get back to his social status, like because of his reputation. Well, not only because of reputation, like somebody he cares about, he wants to be with that person, and to do that, he needs to get his reputation back as a good person.
Yes.
It just sort of delivers stakes, and the movie doesn't really focus on like the characterization and relationship. I'm not sure if they're trying to make us care. I mean, they're not doing a good job, but like it didn't really bother me because it didn't feel like it was focusing on that.
Yeah, and also I don't mind the whole already established relationships before the movie starts because like I don't need a deep dive into how they got together with the things that came any of that. If they have a established relationship, if the gay couple, okay, they're there. I'm happy for them and move along. And that's what that did. That's all. Like that's all I'm saying. Like I'm just glad it didn't all through the movie just keep reminding us constantly.
And all I'm saying is every time they cut back, it felt like they were reminding you. It didn't feel like it was, hey, here's the reason, here's the purpose of Balthazar's reason. It felt like they kept trying to shove back, hey, remember this relationship. Hey, like, it was a reminder to me. It was less the other thing. And again, like, you're more right. I think you're more right. I just find that, again, this movie, in better execution to me, because they had time. They had, again, 3 intros, and they could have filled this in. For instance, right, like, I was talking to Mark about this after we were finished with, I forgot what movie we were, I think it was even Mission Impossible, and we were just talking about it post-podcast, and I was like, yeah, I think if you're going to put a gay relationship in, put it in with maybe, like, Nimona and the knight that's at the very end of, like, middle end of the movie, where you get the backstory, because that is a pivotal point for her character, but it's not really for this guy. Because, again, if you're going to focus on the guy, build it. I want those bricks laid, but it's not really laid, and so everything's simple. It's all simple. Relationship, here, check. He's in trouble, here, check. Nothing's like, So, that's all. And again, like,
I'd say I had more trouble with Nimona's backstory than anything having to do with the
I also
night.
have a backstory, yes.
Her backstory was incredibly simple and confusing at the same time. It was okay. So she's going from different animals, trying to fit in with everyone.
Yes.
I get that. She finally finds somebody to fit in with this human.
Yes.
And it was that moment when all that time she was playing with her, seeing her switching, and then someone says she's a monster, and you just suddenly go back to where you came. I'm like, it was so abrupt. Like it didn't feel generic. Like
it didn't feel genuine.
It didn't It didn't feel like that scene is so confused. You knew she could do it all this time. You saw it doing. You were playing with her, and then someone says a monster, and you pick up a sword and ready to fight. And
I get what they were trying to do, but again, it felt so forced in the moment. It felt like we need to get to this point. We need to get to her being in conflict with Nimona.
There was no reason. Like, it was no reason for her to just suddenly turn on her. It would feel more genuine if she suddenly decided to side with her against the people who was attacking her.
Yes.
Because they are attacking her for no reason.
Yes.
So the fact that they saw her shapeshift.
Right.
That's literally all it was. And then I'm sorry. I agree. I just like.
But I also think, like, in terms of Nimona, like, not trusting humans, I think it's a poorly written idea that I think I texted this to you. It's like, I think it's just a poorly written idea that she doesn't think humans are trustworthy. Like, something like the thing sticks out to her from the past so much, even though it's been 1,000 years. Like, there's no one else ever. Like, you haven't been to a different region, maybe, where people were maybe more accepting. Like, if you showed us in a montage that she's been everywhere and everyone was an asshole, and now it's untrustworthy. Like, it's so simple. Again, this is why for kids, you're probably going to love it. Turn your brain off, you're going to probably love it. I just think, in my brain at least, I just had to, like, it's like, wow, okay.
Well, another thing I didn't know about the setting is, like, they were, like, I didn't know about the setting until the ending was, like, they were in, like, a wall. Like, the whole scene was in like, after the whole conflict.
That's also good, because there were points in the movie where I thought they were just going to leave the city and go, and we were going to see what's outside of the wall, and Nimona was going to show them, like, hey, it's not as bad as everyone thinks it is.
Right. Yeah, but I wasn't sure, like, why they were scared of the wall, but outside the wall.
Especially with all the technology, since it's sci-fi.
Like, right at the end, they suddenly, like, break the wall down, like there was some pivotal moment in the entire thing. Like, not really. It'd have been more. These are
things you have to build up to.
Yeah, like,
that's why, again, I know
sci-fi Trump.
Again, I know you guys dug the movie. These were things that I found like.
The most, like I said, it was Nimona. She is a fun.
That's
character.
the thing is she's great. To me, she's great. Like, every time when she's on screen, and she's like, I want to do this. I'm like, please, I need more of her in this movie. But when it's like, we're cutting back, and it's the castle, and the queen's daughter, or whatever, the prince, or whatever she is like, I'm actually evil, and you can tell the strings. Yeah, it's like, okay, like, once I saw that, I was like, okay, yeah, this is another Blue Sky movie that would have bombed itself out of existence, just like Ferdinand, just like fucking Spies in Disguise. Like, I'm sure Disney looked at this for 2 seconds. It was like, this is a terrible idea, absolutely terrible idea. Kill it.
They probably didn't look at it. It was like, oh, that's cute. All right, get the fuck out of here. We got like Pixar and shit to deal with.
We got Pixar. We got a bunch of Disney Plus Pixar shit to deal with.
We hate paying animators, so we're just gonna like we don't need more of them.
Okay. But yeah. Any let's see. Did I say anything else here? I think we kind of wrapped up everything. Anything else to say about Nimona? Again, I'd give this. Since this is a movie, I'd give this I'd still, again, animation's pretty fluid. I'd say there's moments in the sound design where it actually falls completely out. Like, there's moments where the sound design's gone. Like, it's like, what happened to the sound design? And then it comes back and it's like, cool. But the music's like generic, so there's clearly a capped budget. I'd give this like a 6.75. I'm being very technical. 6.75 out of 10. It's like, it's fun. Animation's great, and voice acting's awesome, and action's great. So, yeah.
I'd give it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
I really enjoy
I'd give it an 8 as well. I really enjoy
After
watching
all
it.
that.
I really enjoy watching it. Like, I do.
Yeah.
There are points, but like you said, there are points that sucked, right? And we look.
You put that at Puss in Boots, Mark?
Huh?
You put that at Puss in Boots?
You mean a 10 out of 10 movie?
You said 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
We
just talked about this. 8 out of 10 for what it is. Like, these scores don't really have to match for the same leagues.
Yeah.
Well, but they're both animated. Action. Fantasy.
8 out of 10.
I'm rating overall an enjoyment, not an overall like the type of movie it is.
Yeah.
Also those rating this is the problem. Like, this is why people don't have ratings anymore. This is why I don't really have ratings for Canine Biscuits, because like people just like assume like a rate ratings don't need context. Ratings need context along with like the numbering.
Fair.
So, like, yeah, I'm giving it 8 out of 10 out of the context that it was a really fun time, and like, even though it does have some flaws, I wasn't thinking about them while I'm watching the movie, because like the animation and the characterization is fun, and it's very enjoyable and very rewatchable.
I can absolutely, like I said, I can absolutely recommend it. Like, if someone was looking for something to watch, I say watch Nimona.
Alright.
Yeah, like, I mean, we'll get into it because you're probably. I know like the type of person you are. You're probably gonna like Barbie a lot less, but like, I gave Barbie 10 out of 10, and I don't put it on par with Spider-Verse. It's a different type of 10 out of 10 for Barbie.
Again, I think Teen Titans Go to the Movies was better than this movie. Because it's for what it is, since we're saying for what it is. But I also think in animation and the story and everything, at least it knows where it's going. Nimona does not know where it's going, and when it does know where it's going, it's extremely generic. And then it leaves a lot of characters without development, and then it has like generic music, and I mean it doesn't, that's so. Again, when I'm talking about what I mean by like at least levels, like that's what I mean. But it's fine. Again, everyone has their own thing with it. So Nimona though is available right now on Netflix or whatever. Let's say not pirate ship. What's a good way to say it? Ship that sails the open seas with evil. Available on those websites as well. Alright guys, again, StreamBlast.
What's up everybody, Damon here with IGN News. Futurama is coming to an end again. EW.com has revealed that Comedy Central is not renewing the series, and that the episodes airing this summer beginning June 19th, the second half of Season 7, will be the final ones, with the finale airing on September 4th.
Did someone switch the universe off and on?
It feels like we got rebooted. Why is my beer stale?
Let's talk about this revival, another Hulu comeback. We talked about Animaniacs. Maybe we didn't do that in the podcast, we talked about it in person. Animaniacs, of course. Looniversity was moved over to Max, I think, or was that Hulu now?
It's still Max.
That's still Max. And,
I don't know how that's gonna be. I saw the
theme song?
I saw the leaked test animation, or like, as in test like a full episode, I think it was for like a survey people, and we weren't supposed to watch it. And things might change on the official one, but for Tiny Toons, I did not like what I saw of that one.
Ooh.
But like, I hope it changes. I'm not gonna review it because we're not supposed to see it and it's unfinished. But I'll wait for the finished product and see what they actually have, and it could be this more or less the same thing.
Right. Okay. All right. Well, you're good. You look very busy over there. You're doing a lot of technical work.
I'm trying to see how I can.
What in God's name are you trying to do?
Nothing.
Because they were over there doing...
Not porn!
Were you still trying to set this thing up over here? Get the fuck out of here. I got this.
I miss it so much.
Jesus Christ. God damn. Alright, so Futurama, ladies and gentlemen. I just want to do a quick conversation with you guys before we get into it. And that is, it's a blast from the past. Like, when you first heard about the fact that Futurama was coming back, Mark, were you hesitant at all? Because I've heard that Futurama, I haven't seen the ending, but I hear that it wraps it up in a way that makes it absolutely a loop in itself.
Yeah, that's an ending I haven't seen. And I haven't been watching much of the Comedy Central seasons. I've watched like almost all the Fox seasons.
Right.
But like Comedy Central seasons, like I've caught it here and there. I think I watched some of the movies. I can't really remember them that well.
Okay.
But like when I heard it was coming back, it was like, oh, neat. I'll try to keep up with the newer episodes. I'm not gonna really backtrack because like there's a lot of Comedy Central. There's a lot of Comedy Central seasons.
Did you think of Futurama as like a where did you put it, like in terms of like, was it like a favorite back then to you? Was it like a man, I have to watch it?
Very much so. When I used to catch an Adult Swim days before I got put back on Comedy Central. This show was funny. It's like and it was funnier than what Simpsons was at the time. No, I haven't been watching The Simpsons around that time, but it was one of the funnier adult cartoons.
Right, absolutely, yeah.
Because I've just been watching whatever Adult Swim puts out because I haven't been keeping up with Fox back then. But right. I found it funnier than Family Guy. I found it funnier than
funnier than Family Guy in the early 2000s.
Yeah. But because Futurama is smart. Family Guy is just like hit and miss cutaway humor.
Early time, it was kind of... I enjoyed the early... I don't know.
Futurama is really smart with his jokes. That's why.
Now you're pulling
I like it.
Now you're pulling a Rick and Morty. You're not smart enough to handle its comedy.
Not really. No, I mean the jokes are actually effort because Family Guy is hit and miss. Like, this joke work? No. This joke work? Yeah. This joke work? Yeah. This joke work? No.
Yeah.
That's what Family Guy is. It's not that. I mean, that's not. I'm not saying like that's what it's making it worse. It's just that's the type of show it is.
Right. Yeah. There's
comparing like a sitcom comparing like what's a show that has actual writing like Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Comparing that to Saturday Night Live, like a show that has writing with a show that has skits.
Yes, I feel it. Yeah. Martin, how about you? Was Futurama this big, or just this thing that you thought, man, I need to see this, I need to watch it?
I would say I need to see it, but it is Futurama. If it drops, I'll watch it. It's just one of those shows you just like, oh, it's on, it's something I'm going to watch. It's not, I'm not a time waster, sort of. You're paying a lot of attention to it. Because like K9 Besta said, it is an extremely funny show. And then, yeah, it did find it more funny than Family Guy. Like you said, Family Guy was very much hit or miss. Especially nowadays, it's very much.
Well, again, nowadays, yeah. I won't stick on the Family Guy thing. I'll just say, like, back then for me,
only other show I could think of is Archer.
Well, Archer's much better.
I'm saying.
I think it's way better.
No, I'm saying Archer, as in as funny as Futurama. Like, the two things I would consistently watch for animated comedies.
That's fair. I just think I'd put Archer much higher.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. But I think Futurama's for me. I think again, Futurama is still like this name brand comedy. So it's not like it never fell out of favor for me, even all this time. Like when it's like you hear Futurama's coming back, it's like ooh, like it's still something that calls to you. It's not like something that fell out of favor. And when I was a kid, like when I was at my grandparents' house, like it would just be on in the background. It's like because you're scrolling through stuff and you're like looking for stuff to watch, then that pops up, and especially when it was on reruns. Oh my god, like 2007, 2008, 2009, and it was on reruns, like, and it would have like almost like a multi-hour span of reruns. Like, it was worthy to watch. But I always thought of it as, I always felt of it as like as Simpsons, which to me Simpsons was mid back at the time of like the late 2000s, because that's when I started watching Futurama, and Futurama at the time was, to me, mostly mid. I didn't pick up on a lot of the jokes. I never went back to it in high school or beyond. You know, when it ended, I didn't really care, but I just was familiar with it. So it is this thing that exists in my history. Yeah, so this thing returned, of course, and, you know, we're going to get a full new season. I will say, in terms of a Matt Groening project getting returned, like, I feel much better about this episode than the first episode of Disenchantment by a mile.
Disenchantment, it's a different type of writing, but like it's definitely going for like a more serious. It's not going for. It has a more serialized story. It's Disenchantment is good. The later seasons later parts have like fallen off a little bit, but it's I wouldn't say it's on the level like old Futurama, but like it's a funny show.
That's actually fun. I just, I never could giggle. It was just kind of like, what's that? But yeah, I don't want to.
It's not that.
I really don't want to dry up this recording here because it's getting very dead. Yeah. So first episode, obviously. Hard to give a full obviously in terms of the full season. When we get all the episodes in, we'll have a better impression of what the season was like. But I'm gonna say I thought it was I enjoyed this first episode back. I thought it was a very solid Futurama episode.
It's a solid episode of the show. I'm not sure if it went downhill during the Comedy Central seasons because I haven't kept up with those. But like this episode particularly, it feels like an episode that could fit in like with those early Fox Adult Swim seasons. And it still has that like punch up like punch up like sci-fi humor that was always known for. There's a lot, just like Animaniacs come back. There's a lot of victory lapping, which Animaniacs will always make jokes like hey, we're back because of reboots. Am I right? Reboots. And like this show, this episode is definitely making the same jokes like. What kind of a show gets canceled for 10 years? Who gets canceled like that? And who keeps switching networks? Come on.
Oh. Wink, nudge, nudge. Wink,
woke.
Wink, nudge, nudge. What?
That's not woke.
That's not woke.
That's not woke.
It's just,
that's just meta.
That's just meta. That's what happened. Wink, wink.
Man,
nudge,
I really
nudge.
I really need to understand this definition.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But anyway, so. Yeah, just it was cool to see everyone. That's the thing. First thing, it was great to hear the theme again. That's the thing I wrote down first. Was like, it's just not only the theme, like the theme in production. Not you could go on YouTube and listen to it, but like you're seeing it again. You're seeing everything back in motion while the theme's on. You're seeing the whole graphic. The vehicles moving. Like I thought, it's still special. It's like okay, like it's cool to have everything about Futurama.
I like how it for a quick second it says like Hulu-rama and then it's
Hulu. Yeah, that was funny. But. Yeah, man. Situation is, of course, I think Fry has to go, and
Fry.
He finds that his new goal in life because they literally what could have been again. The whole thing loops, and apparently it's very beautiful if you have watched the show overall and understand the beginning to the end. But it loops in a way where you could go back to the first episode, and it would basically matter that you watched the ending, and it apparently is very beautiful. This instead diverges.
Did you go back to watch it?
No, but that's what a YouTube synopsis is. So instead, this is
you can't really say that for yourself.
Shut the fuck up. This is a branching path. This is a branching path where Mark, you seem very. You see very. He's all very No, I'm sorry. I just, it's like I wasn't gonna go and I didn't have that much time to go and watch that episode. So, but instead you have this branching path, and this branching path, it's like they get out, and he now has this new vision that I'm gonna watch everything on TV.
Oh no, because he finds out he's been in the future. Because like the funny thing about the Futurama is like Their always takes place in our modern times, so their years always match up to our years. So when there was an episode that came out in 2005, it was always 3005 in their world. So it's in their world, it's the year 3023, and Fry's like, I've been in the future for 23 years already, and like I haven't done anything with my life. And like now, so he's like he set out to have a goal, and like he comes to the conclusion like my goal is to binge all these shows. So it becomes I thought the episode was going to become a bunch of parodies of like Netflix shows, because modern Simpsons has already done that recently.
Right.
But like no, he goes back to watch like All My Circuits, and he like there's been like a bunch of episodes since he's been like, I don't know, like in a weird time state.
Yes.
In a time frozen state. And like so he sets out to watch all of them, and like they go inside the binge machine.
Sorry guys, you saw that. Whatever. Yeah.
They go inside the
binge machine.
They go inside the binge machine, and like he which it's like this weird like VR sort of like thing, and I like binging is treated as some sort of like
beyond
like
super
dangerous stunt, like he's going into the Matrix.
Right.
So like he starts binging, but like the problem is like if he runs out of episodes, his brain might not be able to take, and he might die. So they have to keep filling the episodes, and he's starting to go through them so fast, and like they convince like Hulu, which is like the fake Hulu, to bring the show back.
Yes.
As a revival, and it's like it also leads into a funny joke where because like
it's all inside baseball, and then it's all inside baseball to the fact of what's happening with Futurama itself.
Yes. While
simultaneously then getting into the core fact that the writer somehow it really
a weird age joke where they go into like the writer's room and Bender remarks that like these writers are lazy when they work for a little pay or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's like that. I know this joke was written way before the writer's strike, but this is like aged in a weird way.
Well, I think it fits so well though, doesn't it? Because it's like he's a robot, and then he starts making them himself, right? Isn't it like they have him start doing it, so he takes over, because they're just like, yeah, look at these writers, they're so fuck, and then the product gets worse anyway.
Yes,
and it's like
because they're doing it because they have to do it. They have to do it at double speed. They have they have to film like an hour-long episode every hour.
They have to do a Marvel Disney Plus show, basically.
They have to make Secret Invasion.
Yeah. But like, I just love how it's very meta, because again, it's like a lot of AI writing is getting used. And
I guess technically Bender is AI.
Yeah, it's like, here's this robot, I can write it better, look at these lazy robots. And it's like, it also is the arrogance of corporations, where it's like the corporations are like, yeah, I can write better. Look at this guy, he can do it, look at these lazy writers, they're not doing it. Like, that's what I felt when I saw it. It's like, I think that, did I write something on here?
The funny thing is, like, the small breeze from Martin fanning himself is coming towards me. It feels good.
It is what it is. We're in the heat. We're literally in the heat of the moment. So
I am no one's fanboy.
Yeah. So yeah, but what I said was the overloaded.
You were for a moment. You have to live with that.
Yeah. The overloaded production moments are so much more relevant. Which again, it's like the actors are stressed. They're like fucking shooting these things back to back to back.
Oh fuck.
My
camera.
Well, that probably only happened recently. So.
I'm still recording though.
This is gonna be the worst edited fucking thing. But yeah, the AI stuff. I think that it's just like somehow I don't know if they were writing this in terms of it being like they did have 2 months, because the writer's strike was already planned far in advance. Like this has been going on for 2 months plus at this point. So technically they could have been writing this episode and this was already happening, but because it's 2 months. I can imagine that they were right. And also, negotiations have been falling out since February. So it's like, people have been bringing up.
In terms of, animation takes, months or years.
Tell that to South Park.
Yeah, that's a different type of show. That's
tell that to South Park.
Yeah, that's the thing about South Park. It can come out with like topical humor.
Yes.
Because it can be the way it's animated can be animated so fast. Family Guy and Simpsons would love to do that. They can't because the shows, like the animation of shows, take too long and they come in a cycle. Even Animaniacs have a joke about that where, because they came out the episode, the new season, the new show, the reboot.
Yeah.
It came out in 2020.
Yes.
They remark that they don't they want to comment on current events, but the writers are writing them in 2018. So
interesting.
So yeah, so they say that in the show, and they have to guess what is current, and they're not too far from the truth from what they predict.
Well, I mean, again, I'm not saying that animation doesn't take time at all. I never said that. I'm just saying that
it takes a long time. It's not as quick as you just thought.
I never said that they were doing this quick. I'm just saying that it's clear and obvious that the writer's strike had some sort of effect on this. Whether it's the writer's strike or the preliminary steps to getting to the strike clearly had something to do with it. Because it's all about the fact that streaming is being produced at a rate too fast for production and writers to handle. That's the whole point of the last half of this episode. Outside of the fact that Fry is trying to...
I think that's just a commentary on the streaming workplace in general. I don't think it has anything to do with the strike.
That's the whole point of the strike.
Huh?
That's the whole point of the strike.
Yeah, I know, but I don't think this episode, the writing from this episode is impacted by
coincidence.
Huh?
You think by coincidence
yes.
the first episode during a writer's strike?
Yes, because this took place a while. Because the writing had to have happened a year prior or something like that. Because I think I even remember a podcast this was a year ago. They said they were done writing with Futurama.
Well, good.
For Hulu.
Good to know.
And they're currently on the animation and voicing stage and stuff.
Well, again,
and maybe that and
it's not the first time cartoons just predict the future and got something.
I mean, it's not. It's not like The Simpsons did that for a while.
Like I said in the Animaniacs episode, they literally say they were written in 2018 and they're going to predict the future in that episode. That's the joke, and they're not too far from the truth from what they predict.
I feel like there's a world out there where they fast tracked to this episode, and this was one of the last written episodes, and it became one of the first written episodes.
Well, they're doing topical humor in this season because they also had a trailer. I saw the trailer because they're gonna talk about COVID-19 and stuff.
Interesting.
There's gonna be not COVID-19 specifically. There's gonna be a virus. That's one of the episodes. That's on the subject of one of the episodes, right. And that's the virus is it's kind of relevant, but it's an old topic, but it's something they want to touch on.
Sorry, did you cut your computer on?
Oh.
I think you...
Yeah, I just opened it.
Yeah. You might as well disconnect it from the thing.
Alright, that's not touch it.
Alright.
Oh.
Man, you got so much editing.
You have to edit this part out. You can add the part where he's stops himself to ask me if my computer gets cut off.
Sorry, but
it's not that long. He has a lot of editing to do on the fucking Incredibles one.
The Incredibles one is more of a... That's fun. This is painful. This is painful. That one's fun. But, so, again, I think this was a very solid Futurama episode. I have, again, no issues with it. I laughed quite a few times at the comedy. I thought it was very enjoyable, and, definitely something that, let's say it was on cable or on TV like it was back in the day. I would not skip to rewatch this if, in a year from now it came in, a cycle of, 6 or 7 episodes in a row. I wouldn't skip this. It's still pretty good. And, I do think, though, and we talked about this, when you don't age up the characters, you have this scenario where... Fry is Fry is a cool, lovable character that's supposed to be young, but because they didn't attempt to make his hair a little old, look a little older, nothing. It's it does seem weird. You can tell that Fry's voice actor is getting up there. You can hear it. It's not all the time, but it's getting there. And it's kind of like when you hear Cartman's voice in newer seasons, where it's obvious that this voice actor is just getting up there in age. And, you know, it's not that you necessarily need an impressionist or a new guy. It's just that age he's a human that already went through it being frozen or whatever I'm not frozen, a fucking time machine for 1,000 years in the future, and then he got stuck again for 10 years. You might as well just have him like, why is my hair like this? It's like, hey, you look like you got a little old. And then his dialogue is the dialogue.
That doesn't change anything for me. That's just a sad reality of like sitcoms, of animated sitcoms that go on for a long time. Because that's the thing with The Simpsons. It's weird that the voices are older, but you just have to get used to it. Like, I wish they would just change the voice actor. I don't want Marge to look older. I just want them to change the voice actor for Marge.
I want them to age up.
It sounds so painful to hear her speak, but she can hardly do the voice anymore. You can tell Darren Casanella is getting older. A lot of the cast is just getting older. And the same thing for every show. The only I heard they're going to age up the King of the Hill staff, so that's interesting.
Yeah, I do exactly, and that's the thing. I think that's the move you do.
But they're a more realistic show anyway.
Yeah, I'm about to say King of the Hill is more real.
Of course, I mean they're not The Simpsons, but I'm saying I think everyone wanted The Simpsons to age up, genuinely age up, and I think Futurama it would have benefited at least for Fry, because I think, by the way, every other character to me sounds like they're still there, or every other character just about still feels it. It's literally just to me Fry.
I didn't mind it too much. Fry.
There can be some lore that being frozen for so long.
Fry definitely sounds old. Like his voice is raspy at times. It's what I mean?
He's a little bit older, but it didn't bother me, that voice coming out of that character design. It still feels fitting.
I guess he's just And
this comes from somebody who's still been watching a lot of old Futurama. I come back to old Futurama every now and then.
Right, it's just like if Max never aged up, and then the same voice actor of Max from Goofy Movie came back to Max now, and he tried to do the voice, and let's say his voice is raspy, it would be the same thing. Like, well, you're kind of...
I mean, I was at a panel last year with the voice of Max, and he can still do it.
Good. I'm just saying.
Both Bill Farmer, I forgot the voice of Max, but both him and Bill Farmer, they still got it.
Right. I'm just saying, if their voice is raspy and old and at a point where it's like, dude, you kind of are an older character. I see no problem with aging up these characters if they're getting there. And again, it's up to, it's an objective look or But yeah,
I'm already used to this stuff with The Simpsons. It's just a matter of getting used to it.
And everyone knows The Simpsons. I mean, Simpsons has been great in the past.
I think it must be some lore that Fry was frozen so
long. Actually, you're being sarcastic, but it's not too far from the truth.
It is not good. Do not defend fucking new Simpsons like it's going.
How much have you been watching new Simpsons? Because new episodes are not bad.
They are not good. Get the fuck out of
here.
The fuck?
Okay, what episodes have you been watching in the month?
I've been watching clips. That's all I need to see. Clips.
Watch actual episodes. I've been watching episodes. I've been watching whole episodes instead of clips.
That sounds lame. Who the fuck wants to watch Simpsons in 2023? No one.
A lot of people.
No one wants to watch fucking Simpsons in 2023.
Why is it still running?
It's not running on Fox anymore. They gave up on that shit.
Then they probably
had to, but that's another point.
Why was it still? Well, if they give up on Simpsons, they're going to give up on everything else.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying.
Why is it still? Why is it literally still in a top 5 trending on Disney Plus?
Is it actually trending on Disney Plus, or
yes.
Are they just marketing that
every week? Every week.
Is it
ever since I got to Disney Plus? It's always been trending.
Is that just because they need a placeholder for it because they can't?
Also it's like if you look at the reports, it's like Simpsons is Disney Plus is one of the most.
That is
things.
Absolutely depressing, and that is a. If we were doing what the fuck do you call it?
I can hand you a list.
If we're doing a trend, I don't need a print.
I can hand you a list of good Modern Simpsons episodes because there are plenty.
No, there are great. Here's the thing. Again, I don't need new Simpsons to even exist. And I guess there's a bunch of people that like vanilla content. I don't need The Simpsons to exist in the present. I need older Simpsons to exist. I need Simpsons where Bart and Lisa age up and you actually have them respectfully.
How's that fix the fucking writing?
It makes it better because finally you age them up.
Okay, how's that fix the writing?
It doesn't.
Oh wait, you know what? You got that because there are episodes where they flash forward to the future.
Yeah, they're always depressing. They're almost always
They're
depressing
not.
as fuck.
They're not. They're funny.
No, it's always like Bart's in a shithole and fucking Lisa's in a fucking depressed state. Or
No,
she's
it's not.
Good. Yeah, mostly it is. Yeah.
What do you mean mostly? What happens in that episode? What episode is that?
That episode 676.
You fucking dumb. Fine. What the fuck happened in it? 676. Let me look it up. Simpsons. 600.
We are both gonna have heat stroke. We are so fucking done. All right.
Brian's full of shit. Modern Simpsons
Mark,
actually has hit like it's
Mark
hit
is
and miss.
looking at this. We're gonna go ahead and close this episode because my God, I think we're done. Especially since Martin's fan is the only thing saving us at all. Ladies and gentlemen,
Wait,
thank you for listening to the StreamBlast podcast for this summer dream stream where we're screaming for help in the summertime heat. I'm joined with the man who loves Simpsons content and can't get Homer's dick out of his mouth.
Please let that go.
Bryan Swan! And democracy! Look at it! He's over there, folks! Look at Look at him!
Oh my God. We're having technical difficulties, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, you can find us.
Keep that in.
You can find us at Jesus Christ. You can find us at StreamBlast at ScreenBlast Podcast. This is a terrible podcast. At ScreenBlast Podcast on YouTube and ScreenBlast on your local or your favorite podcast services. Of course, find Mark at K9Biscuits, K9BISKUTS.com on YouTube. And of course, find me on at Democracy, ATHEMOCRACY.com. Find Martin at I forgot. No.
I will get a goddamn YouTube channel so you can stop saying that.
Nothing
Okay?
feels good right now, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for
Walk it out of